Hey, this is Mr. V again, and in this video I'm going to talk about division with two-digit divisors. So that means when you're dividing something like 851 by 23. Your divisor here, 23, has two digits in it. A lot of people get really stuck on this. A few concepts are important before we start. To be able to do division with two-digit divisors, you have to first be able to do something called, well, you all know rounding and estimating, but really we're going to look for compatible numbers here. In other words, these two guys, I don't know these numbers. 23 is not a friendly number, neither is 851. I don't know where those come from. I don't have a 23 times table in my head. But 23 is quite close to 20. And so if I think of 23, I'll go off to the side here. Now, this is something you'd be doing in your head. I'm just going to write it down so we can keep track of what we're doing. If I think of, what if this was divided by 20? Now, 851 divided by 20 would still be a difficult thing to do. How about 800, though? What if I change 851 to 800? Now, that's not as big a change as it seems. And what it gives me are what we call compatible numbers. Because now, 800 divided by 20, look at this. This is 8 and 2. I know the answer is going to have a 4 in it. And then it's just a question of adjusting for my zeros. 4 times 20 is 80. I want 800. I want 8 with 2 zeros. So adding a 0 in my quotient here will give me that. 4 times 20 is 80. 40 times 20 is 800. 4 times 2 is 8 with 2 zeros. That gives me a starting point. It gets me a place where I know what my answer should be. I know what it should look like. 851 divided by 23 is of course not going to be exactly 40, but it'll be near that. That's the first thing that's important. The second thing is the ability to do a little mental math. Here's what I mean. 851, let's set this up, divided by 23. Now, coming off our decimal division lesson, we know that if this is going to go into any decimal places, we should place our decimal here in our dividend and place it there in our quotient, and then we're ready in case it needs to keep going. Here's my divisor, 23. I'm expecting, because of my estimate, I'm expecting that the first number in my quotient is going to be 4. Let's follow this through. 23 goes into 8, right? We're doing long division now. 23 goes into 8. No, it does not. 23 goes into 85. Of course it does. I'm going to try 4 times because my estimate says, hey, it looks like maybe 40 will be my answer. Let's try 4 times. Now, this is the second part of what I said. I said you need a few skills. The other thing you need to be able to do is some mental math here. If you're going to try to put 23 4 times into 85, you don't want to have to go off to the side and do this every single time, because that makes division with two-digit divisors a nightmare. Every time you're going to test something, you have to go off to the side and do a little multiplication problem. That's 12, put a 1 here, 4 times 2 is 8, and 1 is 9. Ew. You really don't want to have to do this. Let's put a big X on that. No, no. What you want to do is this. In your head, right? Here's in class when I teach this, I show little thought bubbles. There it is. 4 times 23. This is what should be going through your head. 4 times 23. First of all, when you do mental math, trust me, it's easier to start with the tens. Don't do the ones first. Don't do this. This is nice on paper. In your head, you want to do, what you say is this. 4 times 20, 80. Right? I'm not being formal here, no equal signs. This is just in my head. 4 times 3, 12. These are the two numbers you have in your head. Combine them. Start with the tens. 9, 2, 92. This is in a sort of briefly the sort of process. Everybody, of course, develops their own mental math approach, but if you start with something like this, trust me, it gets a lot easier. 92, 4 times 23, uh-oh, it does not go. So if 23 won't go into 85 4 times, well, 92 is still pretty close, most likely then it'll go 3 times. Same idea. 3 times 20, 60. 3 times 3, 9, 69. 3 times we get 69. Subtract. 85 minus 69, we get 16. Careful with your subtraction. All right, this number is lower than my remainder down here is lower than my divisor. I know I put it in there as many times as I could. Bring down the 1. Same process. 23 into 800 and 161. Look at this. Look for compatible numbers. If this was 160 and this was 20, that's a 2 and a 16. What should pop into your head is an 8. Does this go into this 8 times? Well, 8 times 20 is exactly 160. 8 times 23 is too much. It won't go 8 times, so don't bother even figuring out what it is. It's not going to work. Drop it to a 7. 7 times. 7 times 23. 7 times 2, 14. So that's 7 times 20, right? That's 140. 7 times 3, 21. 140 plus 21. Line it up in your head. That's 161. Oh my goodness. 7 times 23 is 161 exactly. No remainder. No digits left to divide. I'm done. My answer is 37. Let's look at another example. Okay, here we go. 1,767 divided by 62. By the way, if this is going a little fast, I'm thinking it's probably going slow, but if it's going a little fast and you need to see something again, just, pause, back it up, do whatever you need to do, go at your pace. 1767 divided by 62. Again, this is sort of nasty, right? I mean, who thought of that? Let's go over here to set that up. 1767 divided by 62. Once again, we know this might go into decimals, so let's place our decimals right there. If it does, we're ready for it. So first of all, it's a great idea to estimate. So we do that by rounding these numbers to compatible numbers. Now, rounding usually means to the nearest 10, nearest 100. When you're rounding to compatible numbers, round to whatever suits your purpose. I'm trying to round this so that usually it's a good idea to start with the divisor. Make that 60. It's really close. And now I'm looking for something over here that is compatible with 6. Look how close that 1700 is to 1800. This takes a little practice. There's no, sort of written rules about it, but that's very close. 1767 is close to 1800, and hey, this 18 and 6 are highly compatible. We're looking at what? Something that starts with a 3? We don't even have to really bother with how many zeros, although it's a great idea to figure out what should this answer look like. 3 times 6 is 18. I need 2 zeros next to it. Here's one. There's the other. I expect my answer to be something near 30. All right, let's go over here now. That gives me a starting point. When I go and do this process, 62 goes into 1, no. 62 goes into 17, no. Into 176, well, yes. How many times? Think of 3. But what's 3 times 60? 3 times 60 is 180. Oh no, that's not going to work. Forget it. Don't even figure out the rest of it. We don't need to know what it is exactly. It doesn't go 3 times. It'll go twice. 2 times 62, again, 120. 4. I hope you see what I'm doing. 2 times 60 is 120. 2 times 2 is 4. That's the mental math behind this. 124. Subtract. 6 minus 4 is 2. 7 minus 2 is 5. 52. Bring the 7 down. 527. How many times does 62 go into that? I don't know. But I know 60. And I know my numbers. I know my multiplication facts. I know that, let's say, 8 times 6 is 48. So 8 times 60 is 480. 9 times 6 is 54. That would be 540. That's too much. So let's go with 8. 8 times 6, 48. That's 480. 8 times 2, 16. 480 plus 16. In your head, right? You should be visualizing this. Here's your thought bubble. Right? You say 8 times 6, 48. So 60 is 480. And 8 times 2, 16. You should line them up like that. You get 496. Should place my 8 up here. And subtract. 7 minus 6 is 1. 52 minus 49 is 3. 31, I need to add a 0 to my dividend so I can keep going here and finish up this problem. Put a 0 here. 310. 60 goes into 300 5 times, so 62 most likely. Oh yes, what do you know? 5 times 62, 5 times 6 is 30. That's 300. And 5 times 2 is 10. 310. 5 here, and 310. Subtract, remainder is 0, no digits left to divide. We are done. So 1767 divided by 62 equals 28 and 5/10. And voila, that's how you do it.